go ahead. The when they're down in the basement of the cabin, this is more storyline. We're going into more storyline. Is that they all find something, and
they find the door to the cellar or to the basement. They go down and they find just a bunch of crap in there. I mean, like, just stuff everywhere. And everybody picks something up and is messing with it. Of course, again, except for the Stoner character who just wants to go back upstairs.
Yeah. Again, he's a lot smarter than he makes out to be.
Yeah.
Because he's looking at that film strip and he realizes what's going on and he's like, yeah, I dare you all to go back upstairs right now.
Yeah, he wanted to get out of there. Everybody else picks something up and is messing with it. And we come to find out that the object that the person picks up, and the first person to complete something with their object.
Yeah.
Like, I know the whore, she was trying to put a necklace on. And Chris Hemsworth's character finds this round, egg-shaped puzzle. I actually thought it was like a Fabergé egg at first. I'm like, what's that doing in the basement of the cabin? Yeah. It was a very nice, somewhat subtle reference to Hellraiser. And they reference Hellraiser again later in the movie, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah.
But it was a nice reference to the Pandora's box that was in Hellraiser. I can't remember the actual name of it. It was some really weird word. Yeah.
And so, they said, and then they pick a diary. I mean, it ended up being a diary.
Yep.
And each one of these different things has a different nightmarish creature that's going to come and affect the rest of the movie. And I think it's funny that they say that they take bets. Everybody, from the maintenance to the camera department, to all the different departments that are working on this show, they take bets on to see what it is. And it just goes to show the extent of how much of what all they've put into this to make it where they're manipulating it, but they mention that everybody still has free will.
Yeah. They choose the horror which comes after them depending on what object they pick up.
And they're not even knowing that they're doing this, but looking back,
the directors have no control over that. Yeah. They just put them in the room.
They have all kinds of contingency, they have all kinds of plans, and it just depends on which plan is picked. That's what they enact.
And that's where the list of nightmares that can come out of this house to attack them is really where you start to see all the references to horror movies.
Yeah.
Because at one point they actually show a list of like a bunch of stuff that's possibilities. They show like the whiteboard of everybody's bets.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on you actually get to see them going down through this elevator where you see all the nightmare creatures and you see everything. I mean, vampires, werewolves, werebats,
ghosts.
That's where another reference to Hellraiser comes in, because one of the things you see is a Cenobite. And I didn't know this until I read about it on IMDb, and I went back to try to find it, and I couldn't quite see it, but apparently there's a Reaper in there somewhere, which is a reference to Firefly, which is cool.
Which is, there's another Josh Whedon expert right there.
Yeah.
All this is going on, and you're still what the heck? And what's going on with this? I mean,
they only give you little tiny bits of information at a time. They let everything happen, and he waits until the end to really explain everything, but you see all this stuff happening, and what ends up coming after them is what they call it, a zombie torture redneck family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and when they all pop out, it's like, okay, what is this? Is this a slasher film? Is this a zombie movie? Is this what is this that's going on, and why are they so intent on destroying these 5 kids' lives?
Yeah. And when that family starts to come out and starts to converge on the cabin, Evil Dead reference.
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, kind of a glaring, obvious one. Plus, with the book, they read something from a book that started this whole thing. That's
the Book of the Dead. Yeah,
that's
a reference to the Book of the Dead. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
which is a great movie to pull influence from.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, what else? What else is there references to? I mean, we can just do this all day long.
Yeah. I mean, you could almost somewhat, well, no, I guess not. I would say that you could almost see a reference to House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects with the zombie redneck family, with the redneck torture family, but I don't think that's really a comparison you can make.
I think that would be more along the lines of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with the exception of that they're not zombies in that movie. They're just crazy, effed up rednecks.
That would be a much better comparison, since House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects was an obvious reference to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. So
people start dying now.
Yeah.
This is the point where people start dying. The whore dies first.
And
of course,
again, and it's something that's revealed later. One of the things that we mentioned is they could never pull this off in the not in the timeline of the movie, but in like real like now time. They could never kill Thor off.
Yeah,
they would never kill Thor off. You can see why this movie has been released 3 years later after it was made, because they could never do that. They can never film and do that again.
No, Chris Hemsworth would survive now.
Yeah, because
he's such a big star, but he
goes out in an epic
blaze of glory. Oh yeah.
Yes, it was.
He tries to jump a ravine on a dirt bike in order to go get them help, because the directors of this quote-unquote show have destroyed the tunnel pass that they need to be able to get out. And so he jumps this ravine, and he ends up hitting the force field.
And I don't know if you know what to talk about at the end, and it's going to bring more references in there. We're just going to say Silent Hill.
Yeah. Well, let's just wrap it up real quick. Okay, Chris Hemsworth dies, the whore dies, the scholar dies next. He gets attacked in the RV that they're in.
Which you know something's going to happen, because when they get in there, you see a bloody handprint.
Yeah. Dana, the virgin, starts running through the woods. She runs into the stoner, who they thought had died, and that was a nice twist, because you know,
because they had already accounted for him dying.
Yeah, the directors had already accounted for him dying, but he made it. He was able to find a way into the actual offices of where they're doing this underneath the cabin, and he starts to figure everything out. And he figured everything out. He starts explaining it to her. They get into an elevator. They go down, and that's when we start to see everything.
And that's when it really, really gets jacked up.
Yeah.
If you thought that this movie was messed up before, this is when shit gets real.
Yeah. You start to
it gets intense, and it gets out of control really, really quick.
Yeah. But at the same time, you start to get all the information that you've been craving throughout the entire movie. You start to finally understand everything that's going on.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
It's just wow.
Yeah.
Like the intensity and the thought that's gone into this production. That's when you really start to see all these nightmarish creatures and what all the different options that could have been for these characters, for these kids.
Yeah.
And I think it's nice that they did, the zombie rednecks, because if you've seen some of the other stuff in there, while they're terrifying, it would have made it for a completely different movie. I mean, there's ghosts. I mean, there's,
werewolves.
Vampires. There's vampires. There's giant cobra snakes. And when I'm talking giant, I'm talking like basilisk and Harry Potter giant.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Apparently.
Mer people.
Yeah.
Mer people.
Yeah. Which is a funny one because Bradley Whitford's character throughout the entire movie is talking about how he always places a bet on the mermen because he wants to see him, and that comes back to bite him in the face at the end.
Yeah. So we get to the very, very end of this movie, and who should pop up to explain everything?
Hold on. First off, just real quick, they make it through this entire thing, and they unleashed all these nightmares on the people that are directing this thing, and they kill everybody.
Yes.
Everybody is dead except for these two. They find their way into this ritualistic looking room, and
Sigourney Weaver pops out.
Yep.
No one saw that coming.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver pops out as the true director of this whole thing. And that's where we start getting into religious aspects of this movie. Not only did we have every horror genre imaginable, now we're going into religion.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, and they look around this wall, this ritualistic room, which I compare it to a lot of the war room in what's that movie? The Skulls. I see the skulls in this movie. In the war room. It's just a giant stone room that they go into. It's got all the information that needs be.
That's good. I didn't think about that, but I see it now.
And so now we must say again, spoiler alert. This is where it's going to get really. This is really where you need to turn this off if you have not seen this movie.
Yes, like seriously.
This is something that they've been doing for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is done in every country around the world.
Which we get earlier in the film. So they talk about Japan, Stockholm, Germany, things like that. They film these everywhere. And
they mentioned earlier that Japan has a perfect rate on this.
Except for this one time
season where
they failed.
And they make a funny references like how hard. Well, looking back now, it's a little insensitive, but it's like how hard is it to kill children, and
because it's a whole bunch of 9-year-old schoolgirls that defeat this demon, and turn him into a frog.
Yeah, killing kids is never funny, especially in the times that we're in right now with the tragedy that happened a few weeks ago. But it's nice to see kids as a hero in something like this.
Yeah.
But they do this. I'm thinking that maybe they do this on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
That they have to appease the gods.
Yeah. Because that is what it all boiled down to. The gods of old. These are ritualistic sacrifices to appease them so that they don't rise up from where they are, which is, by the way, underneath the cabin. Yeah. Everything, it's like the center of the world is underneath this cabin out in the woods in the middle of BFE. Yeah.
And you think that this cabin has been there for a while, because they mention they show a picture of that what looks like Civil War times.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the first photographic record of it, because that's when cameras were really starting.
Yeah.
That's when cameras were invented. So
I think they mentioned the year 1903 at one point.
Yeah.
So it had been there for a couple hundred years, for at least 100 years or so.
And so they have to kill all these kids in order to appease the gods, so the gods do not rise up and destroy the world.
Yep. And apparently there was a process. The whore dies first, the athlete, then the
intellectual,
then the fool.
The fool, which is our stoner character.
Yeah, he was labeled as a fool, and then the intellectual And the virgin is optional whether she dies.
Yeah.
That's as fate decides. But she has to either die last or survive.
Yeah. And this is another reference to classic horror. You know, if you're a virgin, you live through a horror movie.
And if you don't know that,
I think they mention it in Scream as like,
yeah,
you give it up, you're dead. So,
yeah,
which is why all the other characters are dead. That's another,
Thank you, Jamie Kennedy, for being our mentor.
Thank you. Yes. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? So we get to the very end of the movie, and Sigourney Weaver is saying, you have to, telling to the redheaded virgin, you have to kill Marty, and you have to think about it this way, either one person dies or everybody dies.
And what happens? She gets attacked by a werewolf before she can do it. Because, of course, why not?
Yeah, I mean, why not have a random werewolf attack in the middle of, all this craziness going on?
Right? So, Marty shoots the werewolf and scares him away. Sigourney Weaver attacks Marty, and they start wrestling, and the virgin is still alive. She hasn't died yet.
Neither is Marty.
Yeah.
So this is still going on, and they mentioned that there's an 8-minute time window, because apparently this is done on one night, and if sun comes up, they fail.
And every other country has failed.
Yeah.
That's something that we kind of forgot to mention, but every other country's thing has failed. This is the only one left. And so, they have to succeed.
And they're pretty much freaking out about this.
Yeah.
They being, Sigourney Weaver, because she's the only one who's left alive in this whole production.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, they survive. Kids survive. They're sharing a J, and saying they're sorry for almost killing you. Sorry you got attacked by a werewolf. And then out of nowhere...
I love the line that Marty has, too. He just looks at her with his mouth full of smoke. He's like, I wish we could have seen them. And the virgin's like, the gods? He's like, yeah, that would have made for a good weekend. And then, boom.
The end of the world.
A huge hand rises up from hell, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess that's what it's like, kind of supposed to be. And goes all the way up through, and you see it pop out on the surface of Earth and grab the cabin and pull it down. And that's the end of the movie.
Fade to black, start credits, in the obligatory rock music.
The fuck?
Exactly.
What?
Because I was thinking maybe, they might... Sigourney Weaver's character, maybe that might appease them because she's...
That's what I was kind of thinking too.
She's kind of foolish for, thinking that she can pull all this off.
But no.
No,
the world ends.
And, yeah. So,
yeah, definitely no sequel.
Yeah. Because there's no planet.
Yeah.
Everyone is dead. And by this time, when we say everyone is dead, we're talking 6 billion people are dead in an instant.
Yeah. They actually, they completely destroy the world.
Exactly.
And they probably move on to another one. Maybe we can have Cabin in the Woods 2, Mars Project.
Mars Project, yeah. So that's our review of Cabin in the Woods. Good movie.
Very good movie.
Makes you think a lot. It's a fun ride.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a movie nerd. Even if you're just a horror movie nerd, it's a fun ride to see all the references.
Yeah, definitely something to check out. I mean, it's one of those ones that you can see is not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such an unconventional way to do things, even though some of it is predictable, it's still unconventional because you're not going to be able to guess everything. You can predict a lot of things that are going to happen, but you can't guess everything.
And I got a feeling this is going to be a movie that when we watch it again, we're going to pick up on more stuff. Knowing what we know now that we know how the movie turns out, we'll be able to watch it and try to pick up on some more things, maybe some more subtle references on stuff. And so it's definitely worth a view, and if you enjoy it, it'll be worth a second view.
Yeah. Well, I think that's definitely going to have to be a buy for us.
I think so too, yeah.
At some point.
Definitely. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Check it out. Enjoy. If you like what we do here, please subscribe. Keep in mind that in the next 4 months or so, we're gonna have some things in the work that's gonna be ambitious and pretty big for us. But
yeah.
I think we're both really looking forward to it.
It's gonna be.
That's part of the reason why we haven't done any more reviews. Why I haven't done any reviews, because
you have 2 more Star Wars reviews to do.
I have 2 more Star Wars reviews to do, and possibly a Lord of the Rings one, which I may try to get to. But my mind has just been focused on this other project, and I'm trying to think of things for it because it's gonna be a blast.
And now we're leaving a lot of things up in the air, but we don't really want to say anything yet because we really don't know how it's going to turn out. We have a basic frame for this, but
it's not something that we can really give any information on.
Yeah, so keep watching. Feel free to comment. We'd love to hear your opinions. If there's something you want to see us review, let us know. I'm maybe gonna try to start getting some of my own personal reviews. Working on that. I know it's been a couple of months since I teased that one out. But again, with the holidays and with this other project that we're working on, it's there's not a lot of time for other stuff. So thank you for watching. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Blessed be.
Blessed
and we're out.
See ya.
Deuces.